All my favorite songs are slow and sad. I don't know what's wrong with me.
Welcome to the Sad Song Queens podcast, where we dive deep into the songs that make us cry. I'm Laura Webb.
And I'm Lindsay Wolfington.
Well, good morning, Laura. Let's sync up.
All right, let's do it.
Are you so tired after last night's Oasis show?
Yes. I went both nights and here in LA, and it was at the Rose Bowl. And there are very funny memes going around because it is quite the ordeal to park at the Rose Bowl. So it was 2 late nights. I think we got 18,000 steps after.
Yeah.
Anyway, on a high, still on a high, being in a crowd full of 90,000 people singing along to Don't Look Back in Anger, my favorite Oasis song.
Oh.
And Wonderwall, and there were fireworks, and it was all my high school dreams come true. I saw them when I lived in Munich for high school, and I went with my friends. We pushed our way to the front of the barricade. And I caught Liam's water bottle. I do not know where it is. People have asked me, do I still have it? I do not.
Did you keep it for a while?
I did keep it for a while, and that was very exciting. But, you know, we didn't think that this day would come, that they would ever reunite. I've seen every documentary. So the fact that it happened, I even bought insurance for the tickets because I still didn't know if they would make it to LA.
That's so funny. Like, they sell insurance for everything. Like every time I buy like a ticket, I'm like,
I know.
This is just like, you're just paying an extra $25 for everything. But I agree with you. I think that's like a legitimate reason.
I did. Yeah. Because I'm like, you know, I tried to get tickets for the UK dates and Ireland dates, and I was unsuccessful and was very sad. And then I was very excited that they added these. And I said, you know what? I'm going to buy the insurance because it was like almost a year ago I bought these tickets. So, yeah, but I'm very glad I did, and it was great.
Yeah, I thought it was really fun too. I was like never sure I would ever see Oasis, and interestingly, they ended, you know, their last encore song was Champagne Supernova, which I don't know that I have, like I liked it, but like, you know, and I like the song generally, but it was a really good closer, and like I put my phone away and was just in the moment, and that was really cool.
Yeah. And because I had gone the first night, like Noel reached out his hand to shake his hand at the end during Champagne Supernova, and Liam did a like, I'm being cheeky, and then they shook hands. But then a Sunday night when Lindsay was there with me, they hugged, and that was, I didn't think I would ever see that.
Iconic.
And I have video of it. And also Liam thanking the fans for being supportive, because he said that they know that they're really hard to support because, you know, they very publicly always said they would never reunite. So good to see.
We're very lucky to be there. All right, let's get into it.
Today, we are talking with Sleeping at Last about their song, Saturn.
Sleeping at Last is a musical project led by Ryan O'Neal, a singer-songwriter, producer, and composer based in Chicago. The group began in 1999 as an indie rock band fronted by Ryan. They were discovered by Billy Corgan of the Smashing Pumpkins and signed by Interscope Records. The group recorded and performed as a band until 2009, after which Ryan continued making music under the moniker, honing his sound into something more emotive and cinematic.
With more than 5 billion streams, the music of Sleeping at Last has been featured in more than 100 movies, shows, and adverts, including The Twilight Saga, Grey's Anatomy, Love Island, and even a big Budweiser Super Bowl commercial, which I definitely remember.
Seriously, I went on TuneFind, and he has like over 20 placements on Grey's Anatomy.
And guess what, Lindsay? In my research, I found he has a podcast called The Sleeping at Last Podcast. And something that Lindsay and I are pretty curious about is he did a whole series of songs and episodes surrounding about Enneagrams. And so each of the 9 type, he wrote a song, and all the people who participated on the song had to be type 1. And then he breaks apart how it was all made. So I want to, for this interview, ask him if he can predict what our Enneagrams are, since we both know what we are.
Amazing. Well, grab those tissues and let's get into it, because we all need a good cry.
And now, Saturn by Sleeping at Last.
taught me the courage of stars before you left. How light carries on endlessly, even after death, with shortness of breath. You explain the infinite, how rare and beautiful it is to even exist. I couldn't help but ask you to say it all again. I tried to write it down, but I could never find the pen. I'd give anything to hear you say it one more time, that the universe was made just to be seen by my eyes. And I couldn't help but ask you to say it all again. I tried to write it down, but I could never find the pen. I'd give anything to hear you say it one more time, that the universe was made just to be seen by my eyes. The shortness of breath, I'll explain the infinite, how rare and beautiful it truly is that we exist.
Whew, you got me this morning.
I know. I'm already tearing up. And I looked
know.
up and I saw, and I was like, because my eyes were closed, I guess it held them in. But
I actually felt my eyes were closed and it was like
I
teardrop
saw the
here,
tear.
teardrop.
I
You
saw the
did?
tear.
I was like,
Oh my gosh.
I know. But this is the Sad Song Queens podcast, and we encourage crying here.
That's so sweet.
know.
Thank you for letting it in. I appreciate it. It's really
Thank
sweet.
you.
Oh, it's really
It's
beautiful.
so beautiful. Like that's what, like I'm not. So I'm like crying here, right? And then I'm like, oh, why am I crying? And I
Yeah,
don't
why
think
why are you crying?
I'm just crying because it's so beautiful, and it just like
Wow.
I don't know. Like I don't feel any particular thing. I mean, sometimes I'm sure I'm like stressed. We're moving soon, so like there's just like a lot on my plate.
Yeah, that's a big deal. Yeah.
But sometimes I know exactly why I'm crying, and this is just like the chords here and the strings, like it's just stunning. So
Thank you.
Bravo.
Thank you. Seriously, thank you so much. You guys have made my month.
Oh.
I was hearing it because I haven't listened to it in that way in a little while, and I was like, this is like exposure therapy because I don't like listening to my own music, and so I'm like, why did I do that reverb right there? I feel like I should have dialed that back. I was mixing it in my mind.
I bet.
Oh my gosh.
You were
So to
not
hear-
the first
you were-
to have
thank
to
you.
say. Yeah, that are like,
Yeah,
On one of the episodes we recorded, it started to replay, and they're like, no, stop,
No,
not
no
again. Interestingly, when I was listening, I was transported to the people that I have been fortunate to be sitting bedside with as they've passed, and I've had several. And also what a special gift that is that you get to be there with them, which I think when you strip everything away, it's like, who's the people around you that love you and matter? And then that. So I'll go into my theory is that obviously someone very important to you were there. I feel like you were sitting bedside and they imparted something really beautiful and told you really special things. And maybe you didn't exactly, because you didn't have the pen to write, maybe that you didn't get the words verbatim, or maybe they are the lyrics of the song, but that it was the feeling that you walked away with, that how beautiful it is to live, and like that you were so fortunate to have known that person is what I'm taking away. Yeah.
That's exactly it.
That was I feel like it's like, I want to hear, where you were and where it came from. But my addition to that would just be like with the courage of the stars and like the infinite universe. Like That reminder that, even though a life seems short, like we are so small in the greater scheme of the universe. And I don't know, that's just like the nature of things, which is not what we think about all the time. One thing that I like really felt listening to it too is I know that when I feel like I have a ton of worries or whatever, like reminding myself that I am just like an ant on this planet, right? Like there's like a whole big world out there, and like it makes my problems feel a lot smaller too.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. It's so meaningful and touching to hear your guys' interpretation of it, because I meant all of those things, and it's been a song that has sort of unfolded. That sounds so cheesy. I'm like embarrassed to even have said that, but it means more to me in the years that it has been out. And I lost my mom 3.5 years ago, and
I'm sorry.
Thank you. And it was really unexpected, but I did get to be there with her in her final moments. And this song was like really painful to hear play after that. And then slowly some of the lyrics that I wouldn't necessarily be able to pin to a specific person just made so much more sense after losing my mom. Like the world or the universe was made just to be seen by my eyes. That is, no one else in my life has made me feel that way except for my mom. And so even that lyric, especially now that I've been performing live again after a while of not playing live, I've been playing this song, and it feels like a little bit of like it makes more sense now than even before. I had lost a friend around the time that I wrote this song, and so it was very much about like figuring out why we're here, what we're doing, and that sacred space of the end of a life is so huge. And I was just trying to kind of put my finger on that feeling or that idea, which is like I couldn't find a pen idea. So it was about grief and it was about loss, but it has so much more unfolded in these last few years than I could have imagined. And so I'm really grateful for it. It's weird because I have both things. I listen to it, and it's like looking at an old picture of yourself. You're like, why was I wearing that shirt? It's like that's a choice. That's a choice. And then at the other side of it is like, yeah, this song I think it's touched on something I've been trying to figure out in my own life. And so I'm thankful for it. I guess that's unrelated to my, my working on it. I feel thankful for the experience and for the comfort that it can bring me after losing my mom.
You were saying those words, not knowing that you'll later need them for yourself.
Yes,
yeah,
that's exactly it.
Yeah.
And there's been several times, especially playing it live, where all of a sudden made sense. Like I didn't really understand it before these last few years, which is again kind of embarrassing to say because I wrote it.
No,
but
well,
it's like you didn't understand what you were writing.
At things later, and you're like, you have a whole other perspective because you have this that you're pulling because you had lost a friend, but then it's your mother, like
yes,
your blood.
And not
it's a different.
There's like a gravitational shift with losing my mom. She and I were like extraordinarily close. She actually was my manager for the entirety of my music making life, and just was my like endless cheerleader. And it's been interesting to be I entered my 40s right after she passed, and to be that age in the middle of life and to all of a sudden feel so lost without that compass and without that voice. It's been a lot of time to kind of reckon with losing her and figuring out, but this song has been kind of a part of that, which I retroactively am grateful for. I think it was written, I was trying to look at I can't remember, was it 10 years? It's been a minute since this song came out. And so
it looks like it was released 2014. I saw.
Thank you for knowing that. Okay. So yeah,
Google's an amazing thing.
Google. I sometimes forget that it exists. So yeah, it's one of the first collaborations I did with, her name is Sharon Gerber, this incredible cellist. Almost all of the strings that you hear throughout my entire catalog of music is Sharon, her string. She overdubs, and this is an example of her. It's just her cello over and over and over and over in multiple layers, and so it's really this song is special because it's sort of the beginning of me working with her too.
And the oohs, is that your vocals or is that?
That's just me. I love an ooh.
You go high.
I love an ooh. Yeah, I do.
It makes something in my heart.
Music
like,
supervisors love Anu too, right?
That's awesome.
So
the human
cinematic.
element. Yeah, exactly. Well, I was going to that, like, why did you decide to make the first 2 minutes instrumental?
It was part of this Atlas project that I'm still actually working on. It's been over the course of 80 something songs, and it is all in theme. I love writing in theme. It's my favorite. It's my favorite thing. Just having a jumping off point. I feel like it scratches some sort of like deep down film composer itch, where I'm like, okay, well, this is the topic that I need to try to create something around. And so I did a song for each of the planets, and as part of that. And so when I was thinking about Saturn and learning about it and kind of researching the planet, it's just so beautiful that I was like, I want to try to write what I think is the most beautiful thing I'm capable of making. And that meant just holding off my vocal for a while. So I was like instrumental for the first like couple minutes. And it's just something about that repeating melody. I feel like every once in a while I'll write a melody that I want to hear more than, twice in a song. And this was one of those songs where I'm like, oh, I feel like it can kind of keep evolving. And then the lyric will kind of restart it and make something new. It was almost the instrumental bit was basically as long as I felt like I could keep it interesting on a really practical level.
It worked.
It works.
Thank you.
It's rare to see. We love songs with, especially for editing purposes too, and scenes. Like we love a slow opening, but it's a choice, and you don't really see it that often. Where we were talking about Phil Collins in the Air Tonight, like how that was so long, and you're like, I don't know if someone would ever make that again, right? Like it's a bold choice. So
I always, it is kind of funny because the song, I've been really grateful that it has found a lot of ears in the past few years, and I always worry that if you aren't familiar with my voice or my music, you're like into the song, and then 2.5 minutes in or whenever my vocal starts, it could totally ruin it for you. You might be like, I'm out.
It does not.
I'm out.
What's so great is also the peaks and valleys that you develop. And I don't know if this was intentional, but as we were listening just now, it starts with that like cello solo and kind of melody line, and then that kind of falls away and there's this kind of muted moment. And I feel like I'm going to get full talking about that, but I was like, is that like almost like someone's last breath, and then like the quiet that settles in once they're gone. I don't know if any of this was intentional.
No,
that's
literally exactly what I meant. There's the lyric with shortness of breath. I can't think of the lyric all of a sudden. But that is that I wanted it to feel framed in a really, really intimate setting. So I wanted to kind of like go back and forth between like this really human, like the vocal is really close and kind of right up in your ear, and then the piano kind of closes in its reverb, and I wanted it to feel that way, almost like kind of like a bedside conversation a little bit, and then it expands and opens up, so that you even notice that's really special.
It feels this intimacy. Good catch, Lindsay. That was great.
And I didn't catch it the first time. Sometimes you need to right? That's what's so fun about songs, right? Is sometimes the more you listen, you get different things, or like for us, like sometimes you just like a song, and then when you listen to it with a scene in mind, you're like, oh my God, or like it has this element or that element, which I'd never noticed before, but will be perfect.
Yeah.
I am curious. So in music supervision, are you having to hear the songs that you choose like 100 times, or are you hearing, because you're seeing edits, you're seeing so many different, that must either be beautiful in the way that you could kind of like unlock new things about each song, or it can be second guessing.
A little bit of both.
Yeah. Although I think like what I was referring to more is like there's very often we have songs we love, but you're not on the right project for it yet. So sometimes it's just about finally getting that project and it being like, yes,
here
like,
it is.
Or like, oh, I need to go back to that bin. I know there was some good stuff in this. Like I organize, like I have like an emotional bin, and by different shows. Cool. So emotion on different shows will sound different. Like Virgin River, I started it at the same time I was working on a show called The Village, and they both kind of like lived in this singer-songwriter world. And The Village went a little more indie rock too, but like the whole point of both shows was to play emotion with music. So good emotional folders in those ones. So like, if you didn't get to use it on that show, you're like, oh, they're like 200 other songs in the bin that might be good for this new project.
Oh, that's so cool.
Oh, so I was going to ask, did the person that you wrote the song for, did they tell you? Like, was it that they said that the universe was made just to be seen by...
No, that was me trying to grasp for something that now makes so much more sense, because my mom really was the only person in my life that could tell me something like that. And she loved this song too, which also was like a really special, like, I think it was probably her favorite song. I think she mentioned that. And so that lyric, which kind of stood out, is like, you know, my friend who was absolutely lovely and was incredible. And it was losing him was kind of the first loss that I think I had ever experienced. And I actually was in the room when he passed away at the hospital, or in hospice. And that was a big experience. In his case, it was so heartbreaking, but also there was some mercy in it because he had struggled for so long. And so the story kind of circled around some of my feelings in that environment. And then it's sort of made more sense now.
We talked with Patrick Watson about To Build a Home.
Oh, yeah. Such a good song.
Oh, such a good song. And he wrote it when he was in his 20s, I believe. And he says now, because sometimes we ask, like, what does the meaning of the song mean to you now? He says, I realized, but I didn't know then, but I was writing it about my mom.
Oh, my goodness. Are you serious?
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But so that's like how you're saying that you don't realize that you were writing it for them, or that.
I do. I don't know exactly what I believe, but that I feel like there's something in that. There's like there's a resonance or something in music which feels so magical that you get to kind of participate in, and every once in a while it gets to make more sense later, you know?
Yeah. Well, how you were talking in your podcast about the thumbprints. You put thumbprints in yourself.
Yeah.
You did that
Absolutely.
for yourself.
Talk to me about the thumbprints.
So I did songs for all of the 9 Enneagram types. And for anybody that doesn't know what that is, it's basically this old, I don't think anybody even knows the exact origins of it, but it's like kind of the first personality type system. And it's 1 through 9. And I came to it through a friend named Chris Hewerts, who is an expert in this field. And at first I was so skeptical and just completely like, oh, you can't put people in, you know, there's not 9 different types of people. But the more I learned about it, the more I was like, oh my gosh, there's some really incredible truth in all of this teaching. And so I wrote a song from the perspective of each of the 9 types. And I wanted to really like inhabit or like truly represent each of the 9 types. And so in order to do that, not just in the writing, I invited everybody I know from friends and family to send me a little like fingerprint of theirs. And it could be just like an audio recording of anything, like whatever they want, whether it's them humming or just their work day or going out into the garage, whatever it is. And so I collected hundreds of these little recordings, and they're kind of little Easter eggs in all of my Enneagram songs. And so those are like the little fingerprints of ways to kind of hold all the people that I love close into these songs. Some of those lyrics are like the thumbprints of my mom. I mean, I think the mark that she made, obviously as my mom, but just in all of my music, she was my kind of like sounding board too. So everything I would write, I just would get like a gut check from her. You know, I would send her every lyric, I'm like, does this suck? That's basically the question for every, I'm like, is this terrible? And she just was a huge supporter and navigational, like it's how I trusted my own, creative instincts.
Sometimes we've had conversations about like how songs came to people, and how songs come to creators.
Yeah.
Like some people like, oh, it just like flows through me. I'm just a conduit. And others are very intentional. This feels maybe like a little bit of both. What would you say for this?
Yeah, I would say I think both things are absolutely true, because there is like you do have to build the table, right? You have to decide, I want the piano to sound like this, or no, I think my voice doesn't sound right today, and I'm going to re-record it tomorrow. Like all those little very practical decisions in the recording, but also in the choosing of the lyrics at all. Or there's the craft end of it. And then I also think like the conduit aspect of it too is totally true. There's certain songs and days where I feel like the whole thing is kind of fully formed and it just falls out. And those are my favorite. Saturn was not that way.
No.
Saturn actually started that little piano part it's kind of the core of the whole song. The da 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 da, that whole thing in the recording and in the writing of it later, it ended up being, it's still kind of the glue, but it's under some reverb and some other things. But I had that piano line for I think a decade before actually writing that song. And I tried it in 3 or 4 different directions and just kept coming back to like, it's not right. I don't know what it is, but it's not right. And so when I was writing for the planet Saturn, I thought, I could see how this could be whatever that idea of beauty is that I'm trying to write after. And it just has this like longing and this kind of like, it's something about it didn't feel, I mean, it is sad. It's so sad, but it didn't feel like gloomy sad. It felt like introspective sad. And so it felt right for this song. And I was thankful that it turned into what it did, because it was like something I really, really liked. It was the piano part was an idea I really liked for so long, and then just could not find a home for it, which is unusual for me. Usually I can figure out kind of like, oh yeah, that makes sense. Or that goes straight into the garbage. And this was in many folders of mine, just like, it's something's there.
And then the lyrics came after your friend passed.
Yes. And then the lyrics made kind of sense of the piano and sense of my experience. And yeah, so it was, I think it probably was waiting for that, which is interesting to think about in retrospect.
I was curious, you said that you wanted the song that's for Saturn to be like the most beautiful song. Is Saturn the most beautiful planet? Tell us why.
This is a very surface opinion, but it just has those rings and they're real pretty. But I would actually say probably Jupiter is more beautiful in the actual like visuals of it, with all the cool storms and the like. It looks like an actual, beautiful marble. But I think Saturn is just it's like classically beautiful.
Yeah.
Is Saturn your favorite planet?
I think it is. It is. Yeah. I have a crush on it.
Have you always been into astronomy and, I don't know, the galaxy and planets and all that stuff?
Yeah, I have. I've always had a curiosity about it. And when I wrote these songs inspired by the planet, so the concept of Atlas by definition is a collection of maps. And so I love the idea of starting out in my project in darkness. So there's the theme of darkness, and then light is the second theme, and then it becomes like our solar system. So it's almost like bringing the camera closer and closer to like humanity. And so that kind of triggered the idea of like, oh yeah, well, it'd be fun to write a song for each of the planets. There's the composer Holst did it, and it would be fun to kind of do my learn as much as I can about the planets and try to write inspired by that, but also take these personal stories and make something. And when I was finished with those songs, I moved on to other themes in Atlas, and I was really sad. And so I really loved writing in space. So I actually started a separate project called Astronomy. And anytime something cool happens in our observable universe, I try to write a little like soundtrack to that event. So whether it's a comet that is newly viewable, or a NASA discovery, or the decommissioning of Cassini, all these different things. So it kind of keeps my mind always at least thinking about space. And so I have always loved it, and probably love it more now. And somehow, even with all that research and like thinking through and writing all these songs, I still know like nothing about space. I've had some conversations with people that are like very well informed, and I realize how quickly that I don't even know if I have like a surface understanding of most things that are space related. I'm like, that research just went right over my head.
I love that you said the whole like darkness and light in the darkness, because watching the music video with all the kind of like sparks of light, I wrote down the exact same thing. And like, cool. How we love watching fire, like sitting in the dark and just watching a fire, and like the little flicks of brightness. Like I always say it was the caveman's television, right? Like they probably just like sat and watched the fire. In the video, there's so much of that, and it like matches the song really well.
Oh, that's so cool. That video, it was back when, oh my goodness, what was that social media platform where it was like in 7 seconds? Why am I completely spacing on? Oh, Vine. It's Vine.
Yes.
Right?
Thank you.
I had seen a video of this guy. It was this idea of it's like steel wool, then he was swinging it. And so I reached out to him based on like a 7-second Vine. And I was like, is there any way you'd be willing to try to make a full music video out of this? And so I got to collaborate with him and a friend of his. It was by Tom Shea and Michael Means. And it was like a total based on whatever 7-8 seconds of just seeing that idea, and it was reversed. And then I asked that that creator if he would be willing to do something. And I'm so happy. So Tom Shea and Michael Means created the music video, and I don't think there's a visual that feels more right for the song too. So it was very special. That
it's beautiful. It's very arresting, capturing. Like it you are very in it when you watch it.
Oh,
so that line about how light carries on endlessly after death, you explain the infinite, which is beautiful. And I love that sentiment. I recently saw a movie, Bridget Jones' Mad About the Boy, which you would think it's just a rom-com, but it's one of the most beautiful films about grief. You know, I grew up reading Bridget Jones, like totally relate to that character.
Sure,
but
yeah.
you're like, oh, it's just like it just like destroyed me. But it was some of the most beautiful sentiments about grief. And I wanted to read this line from the movie because it floored me. So there's this teacher, because Bridget Jones, her husband has passed and she has 2 kids, and the son's having a hard time processing it and like understanding it. And so his teacher goes, "Let me tell you this, Billy, your dad is everywhere. He's everywhere right now in this moment. And that's a scientific fact. Energy is only transferred. It can never be destroyed. And more importantly, your father is in you."
oh,
And I love that. Yeah. And I love
so
that.
much.
Yeah. Because you're like, yeah, okay, their physical body may not be here, right? But like I lost my father 2.5 years ago, and it's
sorry.
this kind of feeling is like I feel him all the time, you know. And so
sure.
your song really resonates in that way too, that it's like, yeah, they're all around, like that love doesn't go somewhere. So
Losing my mom, it somehow did this thing where I grew up with faith, and I would say that kind of loss, it did like both things. It made me like expand my faith, and it also made me like restrict some ideas. And it has the least amount of shape that my faith has ever had, and somehow it's just much wider and much more. But I really do believe that she does get to experience my life and her grandkids' lives, and I believe that of your dad. And I think that even on the scientific level, like that quote, I think that's true, and I love that. There's some sort of like solidarity or comfort in it. But yeah, grief is the worst. I don't know. It's something that I would have said even when I wrote that song. I would have had like a little glimpse into it, and I don't think I had any idea what grief is capable of, because it's such a nonlinear, massive shift in our life, and it's like unavoidable too.
You know, I feel like your lyrics and like what you're talking about in this song, and some of the stuff you're like trying to do in your music, like exploring why humans do what they do. And so I'm like, I bet Ryan knows the meaning of life. Could you enlighten us? Like, it feels like you've done so much exploring. I don't know. Is there any like takeaways from that?
I wish I did. I have no idea. I think, I mean, it's the cheesiest but most obvious answer possible, but I really do think like love is the point, and it's the only thread of everything that I keep trying to write about and think about. And it's the great meaning maker, you know, like to be in connection and to be in relationship with other people. I think that experience is uniquely human, and also I think like I said, it's the point. I'm a big fan of the whole experience overall.
That's good.
but the grief stuff, whew.
I know.
Yeah.
Really,
it doesn't go away.
no, it really doesn't.
But I try to do things in his honor, right? And I would never want to do this again, but I like myself more now in whatever way of
that's
like,
amazing.
you know,
Yeah.
although it was really, really hard, but like coming through that. And
For sure.
yeah, like I will say from that, and also just sort of trying to live by some of the principles he lived his life through and stuff.
I love that. That's self-compassion is such a huge, weirdly complicated thing. Like you'd think we would be the easiest people to love because we are those people. And that's not true. And actually, with the Enneagram songs that I was working on, I'm a type 9, which is like the last I did them in sequential order. And as I was writing them, there's a very challenging process to try to imagine how other people feel and think. And I thought like, absolutely, like writing the 9 song, because it's me, it would be the easiest thing to kind of show the redemptive qualities. Because that was like the kind of the goal for each type, was to figure out what is the heartbreak and what is the redemption of each Enneagram type. And I had the hardest time trying to find that in myself. I was like, every song I write is a type 9. This should be easy. And then trying to actually speak about myself in a way that isn't just self-deprecating
Critical,
or
right.
critical or just harsh. It felt like it was a hard, I'm still struggling through that, but writing that song was a little step towards self-love and compassion. And
Well, that's what they say, right? Like there are various levels of the number, and then kind of where you can get detoured if you're like doing well or strong. If, 9, right? Everybody has like corresponding other 2 numbers that, like, if you're down on yourself, maybe you lean a little bit more like 6 and the other is 3 or whatever it is. But I do feel like, isn't kind of one of the weaknesses of 9 that, like, choosing yourself over other people and stuff
100%.
like that. Yeah.
And I went through like a small identity crisis, and so I was working on that. I was like, I think I'm a 1. And as I was writing the 2, I'm like, I think I'm a 2. And then I just kept going through. And then 9 was like, all right, I'm definitely a 9 because this is the hardest thing I've ever had to like confront. And I write personal music, so I'm always like, it truly is my my self-therapy. It's my journal. It's all the things. And so it's like I was very surprised at how, like, all right, write a song about redemption, about yourself. And that was like impossible. It felt so hard. I wrote one song entirely that felt cold and kind of like fake. And so I threw that one out, and then eventually got to what the song is. So I get it. And I do think that there is a gift in some grief, that it carves out a big enough space where you like it. I think it allows other things to grow that maybe couldn't grow without that carving out. And I've definitely seen that with like the loss of my mom. And I feel like I have a little bit more self-compassion after losing her, but I'm inspired to hear that you have, that's been what a beautiful transformation of grief to find that.
And then another, I highly recommend this film. Like, so there's another part, she loses her father and he's like on the deathbed and he's just like, I just want you to live. And it's like, that whole like, oh, they'd want you to be happy, but like, hearing it at certain times and you're like, right, yes, be sad, but also like they want nothing more than for you to be happy and well and all that. But I highly recommend it. I was like bawling, and
I'm excited to see it. That's awesome.
So it was also fascinating as I was listening to all the Enneagram episodes. Are you going to do an astrology version?
I've thought about it, and I don't think so. I feel like it might feel too similar to I've even heard some people are like, you should do Myers-Briggs, and I'm like, oh, I don't know if I should only do personality, but astrology is so much bigger. So I feel like astrology would be interesting. So I might.
And it is.
I have
to the stars and
And
moon
my
rising.
project is called Astronomy, the one about space, and people call it astrology all the time. So I'll be like, maybe I just do that. Too.
I think I just did that, didn't I? Earlier.
No, you
I was
didn't.
Like, is that the word?
No,
I
you
didn't. Oh, good.
You didn't. That was interesting that you say that, because the Myers-Briggs too. Have you taken your Myers-Briggs?
I have a long time ago. I think I'm an INF. Can't remember INFT or J or P. I don't remember the last.
Apparently, I'm the same as Jesus and Oprah.
Oh, hey.
Congratulations.
Which I'm sure that I'm
awesome.
like, first off, but that makes me laugh, because I'm like,
Congratulations.
they did not have Myers-Briggs when Jesus was around, but sure.
Jesus is still here, Laura. We're with him every day.
You're right. You're right. But I'm like, I don't know that Jesus was sitting down doing the Myers-Briggs.
Doing personality test. Yeah. I don't know either. There's a lot of pretty incredible Enneagram, there's like the Winnie the Pooh characters, and they kind of beautifully line up with like the different Enneagram numbers.
I'll have to look that up.
Yeah, it's a fun deep well, and I think that's why I mean there's a seriousness to like the Myers-Briggs as well, but I love the Enneagram because it started on such a negative note. That sounds terrible, but it almost gives it more credibility. It's like read about these types, and whichever one hurts the most is likely your type. And there's something about that seems very legit. I'm like, oh yeah, like it's fun too, and it is like you get the I've seen everything from Simpson characters to so there is all that, and you can certainly spot some characteristics of each of the Enneagram types once you're familiar with it, and those things are fun. But in all, it's a pretty devastating tool.
Wait, so did you just read them or did you take the quiz?
So there's a test from, I think it's the Enneagram Institute, and then which is great, and I've done all of it. So when I was researching, I actually went on like a multiple day retreat, and my friend Chris Hewerts, he wrote extensively about it, and he's like probably the best teacher of the Enneagram there is, and so I felt very, very privileged to have like an on-call like expert as I was thinking through these ideas. And so I would read books and books and books, and it was pretty evident that I was a type 9 in just not only the tests, but also just like reading descriptions on the types. But yeah, in the research of writing the songs, it was very fun to learn about people, but it was also like, oh my gosh, it must be hard to be that type and that type and that type. Ultimately, it's just hard to be a person.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like your music, this song, astronomy, Enneagram, you're trying to make sense of the world around you.
That's exactly
which we
it.
love to do too.
I'm curious. What do you guys know? What your Enneagram?
Well,
type?
we're wondering if you can guess.
All right, I'm gonna throw out a guess. Laura, I feel like 9 or 2.
Okay.
I'm feeling one of those.
Okay.
And then Lindsay, I feel like 3 or in the 3-2-1 area.
Oh, I am a 9, but 3 would be my next one. Like I'm definitely like verge on like achiever. And then I can't remember if I'm like a 5, 6, or 7. I know the 6 is the one that's related to it.
Sure. So totally off. Totally wrong.
No, but you're picking
you are
up
one of the
5s
9,
because
and so
I'm a 9 and Laura's a 2.
I'm a
so
2.
you picked up.
Are you 2?
Yeah.
Okay, that makes me. I wasn't totally off. I'm married to a type 3, so the 9-3. Oftentimes, I have like lots of like 3, achieving energy, and then sometimes I'll bring my wife down to my level, and the sloth and laziness of the 9-2. So it goes back and forth. We're a good pair.
What's the animal with 3? Laura was just telling me that animals are paired with this. I didn't know that.
Yeah. So weirdly, those frames right there are the paintings by Alicia Edejanto, who did all the artwork for each of the types for me. 3 is a peacock. I had to verify.
Kind of makes sense. I wore blue.
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
She's such a 9 though. I was listening to your 9 and I was like, oh yeah.
I mean, I'm the youngest of 5 kids. But it's interesting that you say 3 because I do think like when we had Ash on the podcast too, she said something about me. She was like that I was kind of like the boss, or you don't mess around, or like I keep
it's the
strict thing.
You're pragmatic. It's just that you're very like you are like professorial. Like
yeah. I feel like it's probably my own like mirroring, but I feel like a lot of what I experience as type 9 is like insecurity. And so you're a confident 9, which is then it makes me think, 3, because 3s are more confident than type 9s. But that actually doesn't have anything to do with anything. That's just you're just a well-rounded
I've been working hard. What can I say? No.
I wear it on my sleeve.
I'm all feeling, and then I'll be like, like we get off a Zoom or something, and Lindsay's like, okay, but think of it this way, and I'm like, okay.
I'm always looking at both sides. That's we're also both Gemini, so I do feel like peacemaker, Gemini. I've got a lot of or this.
Yeah. And I'm like, but sometimes I just need to vent.
Yeah, absolutely. I wish I had that. It would be
and Laura's a helper to the like utmost thing. Like sometimes I'll be like, oh, I wish I had a jean jacket to wear over this dress, and you'll be like, I have a jean jacket, do you want it? Like, bull. And I'm like, oh, it's okay. I was just like saying I don't have a jean jacket. Like,
oh, that's so great.
I know. I was wondering, and it sounds like from on your podcast, maybe not, but like because I was my dad had Alzheimer's for 10 years, and we were in a very very acute caretaking mode, and like I was caring so much. So now that I'm like trying to learn more boundaries and all that, like, would I be a reformed too? Can it change? Like, that's what I'm wondering.
I think so. I think we have all the 9 Enneagram in us, and we just have like the anchor that in good and bad brings us back to like our nature or whatever it is. And but yeah, I actually think the healthier, the more we grow, the harder it is to pinpoint what your Enneagram type is, because I feel like you exhibit like the kind of the best of all the different types. Like there are certain qualities. I mean, there's qualities in each of the types, but I do feel like I've picked up along the way things that are really helpful from, type 7s or, all these different. So I do think that as you grow, you just kind of collect. But if you're unhealthy, I do feel like that's when it's really easy to pick out everyone's. So it's actually good that I couldn't guess you guys. Okay.
Oh,
It's
well,
good.
you're close. So.
But I also said like 2 or a 9. So that's just a guess.
Everybody listening who has no idea what we're talking about.
I know.
don't take it
I'm sorry.
anymore.
Yeah. They've already
take your
pressed
Enneagram
stop.
test. We want to
fun.
hear. We want to hear what you are. It's always interesting. But what's really interesting is that because I find all of these fascinating, right? Like, of course, there's to type people into 9 types. I have to say, from doing Myers-Briggs, astrology, Enneagram, and then I went to Thailand and they have their Thai Buddhas, and theirs are based on the day of the week that you were born. So there's a Buddha for each day you're born. And you can look it up like on your iPhone if you look back. I was born on a Monday, I think. And it's pacifying the relatives.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Which is all my caretaking and that I'm always looking for people. So, but that shows up in each thing. And I remember when I was in Thailand and this guide was like telling me all about it. And I just started bursting into tears about and then what you were saying about Enneagrams, right? Where I'm like, I care so much, but then it's like, am I doing anything for myself?
I think they point to the same like truth. I know specifically with the Enneagram, it has been like an incredible tool in my marriage, an incredible tool even with my relationship with my dad or my brother, or my just family members. It's been helpful.
How does it help your marriage?
I think understanding how certain reactions that she would have or I would have, they're just coming from totally different priorities. And as the more I learned about the type 3, the more I realized that you're not trying to I'm always trying to soften every little edge on everything. And
peacemaker.
I think, I'm trying to even if it's not for the greater good, it's just for the immediate good. And I think that Kate, my wife, she can see much further into the future and wants things to be not only right, but genuinely good. And so I'm always like, why would we do this if it's going to, if the edges are going to be so rough? And also just, I think the vulnerabilities and the insecurities and the struggles of each type, I think, knowing that whether it's an argument or a priority, knowing where that maybe is originating from, it was so helpful. And because I think everybody naturally assumes that we're all kind of similar, and so I would never do that.
Well, it's like a lens. What's their lens? Like where they're looking at this through. Why does this bother them so much? Stuff like
that's
that.
exactly it. And I feel like, it's an incredibly helpful lens, and it has been the most good I've ever been able to do. Researching the Enneagram was the most good I've ever been able to do for a supercharge of empathy. It just makes you fully oh my gosh, the type 1, which I have a lot of, I relate to a lot. There's the self-critic in the type 1 when that is just brutal, absolutely relentless. And so to know that, and then to understand that the type 1s in my life are operating from that place, it just gives you way more grace for, it's not even permission. It just is there's something else hurting there, not, not this need to make everything correct.
I'm going to pivot us back to sync a little bit. In your bio, you've licensed over 100 songs to film, TV, advertisements, trailers, etc. And you've even had a Super Bowl commercial. You've written things for Twilight. I would define you as a sync darling. It seems that you've really made a career out of it. Would you talk about that for us? I'm very, very lucky. I started making music a long time ago, and that was one of my biggest goals in writing songs, because I love movies, I love TV show, and I see music visually, if that makes any sense, and I write very visually, lyrically, and so all my songs feel to me like I'm trying to score a scene or writing about a very specific event or thought, or and so it lends itself to being cinematic. And for the first 10 years of making music, that was all I wanted, was to try to get something of mine in a film or TV show. I think I got my first placement ever was in the WB Tarzan. That was oh my God, we worked on that. Wait, really? With Jen Piken? Yeah, so I was a coordinator. So I
Are you
worked for Jen
serious?
Pike and Madonna
Oh
Reed
my
Reed.
gosh.
I mean, I knew, it's funny. I worked on One Tree Hill and I looked back and I was like, I don't know that we licensed anything, but like, I totally knew who you were. I feel like, anyway, what song was it? Do you
That's so
remember?
cool. I think it was my song Ghosts, which was an old song. Maybe I think it was. And this was I was with Interscope Records at the time, and I just remember I think I was on tour, and I remember it just being such an event. It was like, oh my gosh, finally a song of mine is gonna be on TV. And in the hotel room, like I remember like everybody watching it, and it was just one of those scenes that was like, I think it was like on the radio in the background.
Oh no,
And I'm like,
sorry.
I think no, do not apologize. It was I was still.
Did it get louder?
I don't know if that was my song. And then it was at the time when there was actually like an end screen where
ad
it actually
card.
showed, an ad card, and that was like the coolest thing ever. But yeah, almost nothing after that. It was like several years until I think it was a placement on Grey's Anatomy that I think it was maybe 2006 or 2007, so a few years later, and then that sort of seemed like it was like the beginning of my music working, or just being the right time for certain things. And Grey's was super sweet and used a lot of my songs.
I was going to say, I was like, there's a website called tunefind.com, and I was like,
I know TuneFind.
you can look you up as an artist, right, and see all your placements. And I'm like,
I've never done
Grey's
that.
Anatomy, Grey's Anatomy, Grey's Anatomy. So
Tell us about, how did the cover for the Budweiser commercial for the Super Bowl spot, how did that come to be?
Yeah, that was actually a Grey's Anatomy. It started there. So it was actually made for an episode. I think it was Grey's. Maybe it was Private Practice. No, I think it was Grey's Anatomy. And it was my first time doing a cover at all.
and the cover is the Proclaimers.
Oh, yes, sorry. It's the Proclaimers.
500 miles, I'm gonna be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Which it should just be called 500 Miles. I feel
know.
like that's the correct title. And so, so I think I was given like a day or maybe 2 days to work on this cover. I was really sick to try to reimagine that song, and they just kind of wanted it in my style. And it was Alexandra Pasavas and her team. And so I did it and sang through my cold, and then it made it into the episode. It was great. And then I think it was a year or two later where Budweiser licensed it for their Super Bowl commercial with the adorable puppy. And that was it was a huge moment. And it was like pins and needles too, because I didn't find out for sure if it was going to be used until I think it was maybe 4 or 5 days before it aired, like during the Super Bowl. So it was like, all right, good news. It's down to you and another artist. And I was like, oh no, don't tell me that. Don't tell me that.
Oh.
I almost would rather it be like, we don't know yet,
Yeah, just call me when it's done.
Yeah.
Did you get to see the commercial beforehand, or you saw it live like all of us?
I saw it live. Yeah. I got to, I think that they made some small, they asked if I would add a little bit of instrumentation towards like the crescendo of the song. And so I quickly, added some, probably some oohs, some oohs and ahs in the background. And then, so I didn't get to see it until it aired. And that was a pretty special, experience to get to be a part of that.
I mean, I remember where I was when I saw that commercial and was just
really?
oh, wow, your life's going to change. Because I was already familiar with your music and was a fan. And then I love when, especially in ads, that they go with more independent artists, because you're like,
it's a trajectory changer. Totally.
yeah,
100%.
no. And I went back and watched the commercial last night and you're like, oh, it's still so good.
It is such a, I love those that, and I don't know if they're still continuing that, like the Clydesdale. I think so. They have, but the puppy, I'm not sure.
I don't know.
They should.
And that song is so good. Like, I remember when it was in Benny and June. It's an amazing declaration of love, but it was originally so poppy and fun. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So to really strip it down and make it as intimate as you did. I also love that. I feel like this happens all the time. Sometimes I'll be like, oh my God, will you cover this song for me? And then I don't use it. But it'll get synced in another show. So sometimes just the music supervisor's instinct that this would be good somewhere, can pay off, even if it's not in the show it was originally written for.
Oh, absolutely. And I had so little experience doing covers at that point, but that was one of my favorite parts about it, was like to actually, I never really had paid attention to the lyrics before on that song. And it was so sweet and so beautiful. And so it was a very fun challenge to try to dabble with covers. And since then I think I've done like 30 covers or something.
Yeah,
like
you have a lot of covers. And that's great, because I feel like the way you do it lends themselves really nicely for placement.
Thank you. Every time I try, I'm like, I'm not going to make this one sad. This one's not going to be sad. And then it's sad. It's very sad.
Well, you're a sad song king. You can't help
That's
it.
right. Thank you. Thank you.
This is the perfect place for you. Exactly.
I found my place. Thank you.
You've come home.
Yes.
Was it used in a wedding on Grey's Anatomy, by the way?
I don't think it was used in a wedding.
I pitched
think
it
it
for
was-
a wedding scene recently. It did not get picked, but I was like,
Thank you for
I hope
pitching it.
wasn't.
That's so sweet.
So.
Turning Page was in the wedding scene of Twilight, but 500 Miles I don't think has been a part of any wedding scenes. But
Well, speaking of, what are some of your favorite sad songs?
oh my gosh. So this was the most fun challenge. Not even a challenge, but you guys mentioned that we're going to talk sad songs. I have a list of 5. Not necessarily in order, but this might be the top. Is a Little Bit of Everything by Dawes. I think it's one of the best songs ever written, and there's an acoustic version on YouTube that is what I first heard of, just a solo of the singer singing it, and there's something about the chords and the structure and the lyrics that just immediately get to my core, and I love it so much. So that's when, as soon as you guys asked that question, I was like, oh, I know that one. That one's for sure.
That's cool.
And then a second one would be Burning House by Cam. Are you familiar with that song?
I feel like I'm supposed to.
It's so good. It is beautiful. I believe she's a Nashville artist, Cam, and a stunning song. That's another one that's just like I have a strange relationship with tears. I don't cry a lot, which I certainly did when my mom passed, but I get like choked up more than I like something inside me doesn't let tears out. But some of these songs, they're the closest thing I get to. They remind me of that muscle that needs to be worked on.
We'll report back after you watch Bridget Jones' Mad About a Boy and tell me if you.
Oh, for sure. There's an artist, Rose Cousins, who I love. She has a
love.
song,
Yeah.
The Lullaby, My Oldest Love.
That's a beautiful
is
song.
So good. And then Michael Giacchino, Married Life from the Up. It's also Stuff We Did. It's like the dun, dun, dun,
Oh,
dun.
good one.
Oh, if I've said it before, but I've probably said it at him on Instagram. We don't know each other, but I like talk about this song a lot because I love it so much. But I think if I could have a melody, if I could like just receive a melody, it would be that one. That's my favorite melody of all time.
It's stunning. I remember watching that movie on a plane, and my friend was sitting next to me, and
Oh, that's
she's like,
a tough
"It's
plane
not
movie.
I know. Well, I didn't. Yeah, now I know. But my friend looked over. She goes, "It is not even 2 minutes into the film. What?"
Oh my
And I
goodness,
go,
that's all it takes.
Yeah,
You're like,
I know.
it's Disney. They always
know.
start with something tragic.
I know. But she's like,
They kind of psych you out too, because the first like minute or two, everything's like sweet and
Yeah.
cute, and then they do that montage, that life sequence that is. Oh,
I know.
yeah. And then I Am the Antichrist to You, Kishibashi is incredible.
By
Are you
who?
familiar with that song? Kishibashi. I think
Oh,
I'm saying
yes.
that correctly.
Okay.
Oh, I
Yeah.
love them.
Kishibashi. I Am the Antichrist to You is so beautiful. It is another one of those melodies where I'm like, I just want to swim in it.
Do you think there's a common thread between the 5 songs you just listed?
Oh, that's a great question. They without fail will give me goosebumps, and that is my number one metric for music that I love or music that I want to make. I remember growing up, the first song ever that did that for me was Elton John's Lion King soundtrack.
Oh, can you feel the love tonight?
Yeah, Can We Feel It Love Tonight? Oh my goodness, that's it.
Yeah.
And that was, I'm like, what is happening to my body? As like a 10-year-old, I was like, oh, music can make you feel that way, and so ever since, that is my favorite kind of music, and so I think that is the thread between these 5
The
songs.
goosebump test.
Goosebumps nonstop.
When you make your music, is it the same test? Like when you have finished a song?
It is the same test, but it's never when I finish it, which is so sad. It's like it has to be part of the initial spark because that's the only time that I can like feel it. And then after that, it just becomes like tightening the screws on it and
Right.
getting tired of it and worrying that it's absolutely rubbish. So every once in a while, especially with strings, like as I work on like a string arrangement, and then I have Sharon and her daughter, who I mentioned earlier. They're like a mother-daughter duo. I don't know if I mentioned, but her daughter plays violin too, and so they do all the strings on my music. And so when they send back their tracks, that's like that feeling is for sure part of it too. It's like, oh, I get to hear it new again.
That's great.
Cool. Yeah.
Yeah, it's very special.
Well, thanks for chatting with us today.
Are you kidding?
We've taken
thank
you
you
all
so
over the
much.
map, I feel.
It was so fun to get to talk to you guys.
Thank you for joining us today on Sad Song Queens, 'cause you always need a good cry. We will link these songs in our show page and our Spotify playlist. Please also like, comment, and subscribe wherever you find podcasts.
Huge thanks to Ryan O'Neill, Kelly Wells, Raven Pierce, our friends at Concord, and Music Alternatives. Special production thanks to Stephanie Gangle, Eugenia Coe, Jordan Lindsley, and our producer, Emily Cartham. Our theme song is All My Favorite Songs by Weezer, and our outro music is by Wyatt Rouse.
Hi, it's Lindsay from the Sad Song Queens podcast. You may have heard us allude to Rob or thank Rob Seals in the Songwriting School of Los Angeles at the end of our podcast. He has been so kind to let us record in his studio, and the Songwriting School is an awesome place. If you want to learn how to songwrite, record, or even information how to release or sync your song, there's a class for that.
The Songwriting School of Los Angeles is devoted to the artistry and industry of songs. To learn more, go to thesongwritingschool.com, where you can learn more or enroll in classes.